Hello, I'm Doug, and welcome to the Krewe of Japan podcast, a weekly podcast where we take you on audio journeys through Japanese culture.
This time on Krewe of Japan podcast.
Welcome back to the podcast. Grab your pint glass because today we're taking a look into one specific aspect of Japanese drinking culture that's on the rise: craft beer. If you've ever lived in or visited Japan, then you know that grabbing a drink isn't just about the drink itself. It's about the experience. The post-work nomikai with coworkers, the casual kanpai with friends at a tiny izakaya, the ice-cold convenience store beer that just tastes better after a long day. Drinking in Japan is social glue, whether it's a quiet drink sitting in a pub or belting out your favorite karaoke tunes at a snack bar over some pints with some random locals. That's up to you. But one standard thread, regardless where you go, is the presence of those big name brews. Kirin, Asahi, Sapporo, maybe throw in a Suntory for good measure. Crisp lagers, clean flavors, reliable, and like I said, everywhere. But in the last several years, something has changed. While sure, these big brands still dominate the market, Japan's beer scene has started to see a shift. Now, tucked between them, you could find small, independently run breweries pushing those boundaries, experimenting with different ingredients, and creating something just new and fresh. The craft beer movement in Japan has really started to blossom in ways that would have been almost unthinkable 20 to 30 years ago. So today, we're exploring that world with two fantastic guides who are in the thick of it, in the weeds. We have Greater New Orleans area native Chris Madere of Baird Brewing and Chris Poel of Shiokaze BrewLab. These guys are living the dream, brewing, experimenting, navigating Japan's let's call it creative alcohol laws, all the while shaping the craft beer movement on the front lines. Together, their decades of hands-on experience and knowledge give us an inside peek at what it's really like to be a part of this growing community. In this episode with the Double Chris's, we explore how and when Japan's craft beer boom actually happened.
The years you're talking about then, I think they were still called, it wasn't even craft beer. They were calling it G-Biru. And there were a lot of the bubble time companies that were still kind of going, I think, Chris, you always said that it was like, it's a big company, they have money. You're like, hey, Tanaka-san, you like beer? Let's make a brewery. We got the money, and guy doesn't know anything about beer, but they just called it G-Biru, and they started making these just kind of cheapy beers that really weren't that good.
The real behind-the-scenes life of a brewer.
And then on brew day, we get here at 6:30 a.m., not p.m. So 6:30, and we're working until we clean up everything. And that's usually like 5 or 6. So it's pretty much a 12-hour day.
That was my joke. He said after your cleaning up thing years ago when we were working together, it's more like brewing beer was maybe 20% of the job and the other 80% was cleaning.
Yeah.
Okay. So a lot of cleaning involved with brewing.
How to get into and subsequently navigate this industry in Japan.
Even in America, you would be going through all the processes of licensing and everything that you need to do, but it would be in your native language, in English. And even the legalese in English can be hard enough. Go through the legalese in Japanese and seeing kanji that you have never seen before and have no idea what it means. And you're like, okay, what's this? So you have to have a very fluent or Japanese native person working with you to get these things done.
And so much more. That's just a taste of what's on tap for this fun, insightful, and downright refreshing conversation. So with all that said, let's crack open this episode and jump into our chat with Chris Madere and Chris Poel. Let's go. Thinking about finally learning Japanese, but worried you'll end up just mumbling arigato or konnichiwa forever? Don't worry, NewOrleansJapaneseLessons.com has you covered. Classes are led by Romi Sensei, a native Japanese speaker with over 20 years of teaching experience. She's been teaching online since before it was trendy. 2014, baby! Plus, her classes are super small, 6 people max, so you'll actually get to speak and get real feedback, not just sit there quietly wondering if you're butchering the word ramen. Romi Sensei's lived in New Orleans for over 15 years, and personal friends of mine have taken her classes. They seriously rave about how fun, clear, and downright awesome she is. Why keep telling yourself, I'll start learning next week in English, when you could just say it in Japanese and actually follow through with it at the same time? Check out NewOrleansJapaneseLessons.com, that's lessons with an S, and get started today. Are you new to the crew? Yokoso. We hope you enjoy this episode. If you like what you hear today, then you'll really love our back catalog of episodes from earlier this season and previous seasons. We've had some incredible guests, like YouTuber Shinichi Mine of Tabi Eats revealing Japan's best ramen, sipping sake with Brian Ashcraft, getting a shochu masterclass with Christopher Pellegrini, and so much more. After you finish up this episode, hit that subscribe button or follow or whatever it is, and get notified when new episodes come out. Then while you wait for the new episode to drop, play catch up with the crew. But before you do any of that, let's dive into today's episode. All right, we're back, and this day, I have prepared myself for this conversation. We're talking about craft beer and the craft brewery scene in Japan. I've had a couple craft brews today at French Quarter Fest, so I'm well lubricated for this conversation.
Good on you.
Well, not well lubricated.
We might have to take a break halfway through and join you on that lubrication, but
Monday morning in Japan here, it doesn't equal Sunday evening in New Orleans. So.
Right. I've had a primer for the conversation. There we go.
There you go. We may get lubricated later, but we'll see.
So I have with me two gentlemen who work in the craft brewing industry in Japan, who both go by the name Chris. So we have Chris Madere, who's actually a Louisiana. You were born and raised in Louisiana, right?
In Gretna, born in Marrero.
Born and raised in Louisiana. And we have Chris Poel, who was, I didn't catch where you were born and raised. I don't think it was Louisiana.
No, I've actually never been to Louisiana, unfortunately. I was born in Michigan, stayed there till I was 21, and then escaped to Japan.
What part of Michigan?
The west side, kind of near Grand Rapids, Kalamazoo.
Okay.
Right along Lake Michigan.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, nice in summer.
Really cold a lot of times of the year, right?
Yeah. Summer is really nice there. Winter I can do without.
I've had some jobs where I do IT consulting and I work with some hospitals, and a couple clients are in the Midwest, in Michigan, Wisconsin, Minnesota. And I hear a lot I have friends up there that work in that same area too. And I hear a lot about the winters and how it's just like endless snow. So I can't relate.
Well, that's why I like New Orleans area. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we had a crazy snowpocalypse earlier this year. You probably saw the pictures of it.
I was actually just showing him, the other Chris from Michigan, I was showing him some of the pictures I was sent by friends. And it was back in January, right? January 26th.
Yeah.
So I was just showing him some pictures I had sent over. I was like, wow, amazing.
Never seen anything like that in my life. And I used to travel a lot to Rochester, Minnesota for work. And even then, in the deep of winter, I hadn't seen it like that, like that kind of snow. So it got cold, but it never seen like snow like that. So that was crazy that it happened here.
Yeah, especially northern. I mean, in the Gretna area, friends, I'm like, it's just white. The whole thing. It's a friend of mine had 3 feet of snow blown up against a fence. He's like, look at this. Like, that's 3 foot of snow in your backyard in New Orleans. I look Gretna. I'm like, geez, that's amazing.
I know, right? Well, so typically we start off with a question of what is your connection to New Orleans? And we clearly have already kind of discussed that to some extent. Chris M's is that he's from here, and Chris P is that he knows Chris M.
Right.
Pretty much.
Yeah, so very tenuous connection, but it's there.
I was looking at one of the questions you had. You just asked what's one of the things you miss? What's there? It wouldn't be one thing. I think what did I go with? I was thinking it's family, friends, food, and fishing. And they always usually tend to go together.
Yeah, I could see that. Yeah. I don't do much fishing, but family, friends, food. I mean, it's kind of that blend.
That's a blend, and that's a New Orleans thing. Crawfish boils, of course. You got to have those seafood boils of any type, really.
Right.
Don't get too many crawfish boils over here. Actually, never.
So we interviewed a guy who's from New Orleans a few years back. He had a New Orleans restaurant or Creole restaurant in Osaka.
Right. I actually listened to that one.
Oh, you did? Okay. And he was talking about how like he would serve like 3 crawfish on a plate for or something like that. Or maybe he went somewhere and that was the serving. I don't remember, but it's just so funny to think about like just a few crawfish on a plate.
I found a place in Yokohama and they're selling little bags of crawfish, like a 500-gram bag. So a pound or so was like, I don't know, $27, 2,700 yen. I'm like, wait, no, that's, and they're not even boiled. This is just live, dead, frozen crawfish, basically. Ridiculous. But,
can't beat New Orleans you can't really beat a Gulf Coast crawfish boil.
You can't, nope, man. And my brother-in-law he's a master. So
yeah, it's a craft. I can't. I've tried once, and my neighbor and I kind of like tag teamed it, and my wife helped out with like the seasoning and stuff. And between the three of us, we did a really good job. And I don't know if we could ever recreate it. Like, it was just like a perfect storm of just luck.
Let's see, what else was I looking at? Yeah, it was. You were wondering about what's the journey, the Japan journey.
Yeah. How did you guys get over in Japan?
Yeah, well, I finished university in Michigan and had absolutely nothing to do. I never looked for a job. I didn't know what I wanted. And that was back in 1980. And my brother was living in Japan with his Japanese wife. So I decided to take 6 weeks and visit them, see Japan. And basically, I never left.
So you kind of had a connection already, though. Your brother was married to someone from Japan, right, and you had that kind of built-in connection from that.
Right.
So it wasn't kind of just spontaneous. I mean, to a degree.
Yeah, I wasn't quite that adventurous, but they left like 1983. They moved to Michigan, so they abandoned me. They invited me over and then got me hooked on the country, and then they left.
And now you're still here.
Yeah, I'm still stuck here.
But you're brewing beer and enjoying it. That's good.
If I wasn't enjoying it, I wouldn't be here. So
that's true. All right, so Chris M., what about you?
Let's see. Well, years ago, my first interest came in Japan. I was actually in high school, I think sophomore, junior year. I started taking karate at a Japanese little dojo. I think there was one in Metairie as well. There's one in Gretna, one in Metairie. And it was owned by a Japanese fellow.
Was it the Louisiana Karate Alliance?
Yeah. Shotokan.
Shotokan, right?
Yeah. So I did that for about 2 years. And Ed was he was my sensei, and it was Miyake sensei was the Japanese owner and everything. But Ed was a really cool guy, and he would go to Japan every year. And every time he came back, he always had long blonde hair. He was a great black belt, great guy, and he always came back with a shaved head. He'd spend a month in Japan training, and he'd shave his head, and he'd come back bald. And it's like, wow, Ed. He's like, and he just had these stories of Japan, how things were, and it just kind of like, wow, that sounds like a cool place. And I never really was going to go to Japan, but then I did a year of university after high school. I did 1 year at Harvard on the Bayou, at Nicholls State in Thibodeau. And I kind of got tired of the college. I just wasn't really interested. And I ended up joining the Marines. I got out, I joined the Marine Corps. I was like, and in the Marines, you usually go to Okinawa. And sure enough, I ended up in Okinawa for a bit, and then got stationed in the mainland of Japan in Shizuoka Prefecture. Been here probably ever since then. So I've been 86.
Okay.
86 is when I first came to Japan.
So how did you get into the beer scene? Was it just like natural, like interest in like beer? You meet people along the way, and then just someone else had this crazy idea. Hey, you want to come along for the ride? Was that pretty much the story? Or?
It kind of went like that because I came, coming from New Orleans. I've always liked cooking. I liked working. I did the English teaching thing for a little bit, but I also ran a pub for a while, and I was working in the kitchens. I always loved beer, and I like beer much more than spirits or anything else, and even the sake and the nihonshu, the Japanese liquors and things. I preferred beer. Beer was kind of my choice, and then Baird Brewing opened in the city that I live in. Actually, this year will be 25 years. So when I wasn't working in my place, when I wanted to drink some good beer, I went to Baird Brewing to have some good craft beer, because we only carried the Kirin and the main beers. And when I wanted to drink some craft beer, when it first started coming out, like I said, 25 years ago, really, that's where I would go. And that's where I ended up getting more interested in the craft beer scene. Let's say that. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And for me, I was always into beer I shouldn't say it because can't drink till you're 21, but in high school, I used to, I used to buy Beck's beer. That was back when it was still imported from Germany instead of made by Anheuser-Busch in St. Louis.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I take a 6-pack of Beck's. I think it was like $6 a 6-pack. It was outrageously expensive back in the late 70s, you know. And I take a 6-pack to a party, and I knew that no one else was going to drink it because they thought it was gross. And so I had the whole 6-pack to myself. I was really happy. Everyone else got their beers stolen or their wine stolen, and I had my sweet beers. And yeah, so I was always into beer, same as Chris. I never really got into spirits, liquor, mixed drinks, wine, nothing like that.
I like the wine. I do like red wine. I have to say that.
Yeah, and then I did the same English teaching routine in Japan for many years, 25 years, starting with English conversation, the Eikaiwa route. And I went on the company classes. I did a vocational school for a few years, and then got a job at a university and taught English at a university for 17 years, getting more and more frustrated with the university politics along the way. And it was the same thing. It was the same year, 2000, when I met Brian Baird of Baird Brewing. And I was dabbling in home brewing then. So I'd give him some beers and he'd critique them for me, give me some tips. And it grew from there. And finally, in 2009, I'd had it with my university. There was just so much crap going on. So I quit and joined Baird Beer in 2009.
So you went pro.
Yeah, I went pro. I think Brian offered me the job. It was my 50th birthday, exactly. You know, and he sent me an email and said, "Hey, I need a brewer. Are you interested?" It's like, oh, hell yeah, but maybe I should ask my wife first. Yeah. So, yeah, I went pro in 2009, worked at Baird for 10 years, and then left to start my own company. It's called Shiokaze, which basically means sea breeze, the wind coming off the ocean.
The salty winds.
The salty winds, yeah.
I was going to say salty winds.
Yeah, so it's Shiokaze BrewLab now out here in Chiba now.
And that's where we are recording from right now.
Yeah.
Oh, all right. So where in Chiba is Shiokaze?
It's in Chiba City, right?
Oh, okay.
Right in the center. It's like a 4-minute walk to the city office here in Chiba.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we get a lot of city office people coming in and drinking, and then they say, "Oh, we want to invite you to this event," and it's like it's really helpful. They're good people.
All right. So it seemed like Baird Brewing was your mutual entry point into the industry itself. But let's just take a second. Can you give us a snapshot of like the craft beer scene in Japan today? Because when I was living there, I was living there as a student. I did study abroad 2005, 2006. And then I came back and I was living there from 2007, 2010. So when I was there, craft beer wasn't really a thing. There was a couple, things that you would maybe see in your local like grocery store or something like that. Or maybe you go to your liquor store and maybe see a few names that you didn't recognize, smaller names. Yeah. And maybe not, they were the bigger ones of the craft beer scene, but by a normal beer drinker standards, they weren't the big 4 or 3 or whatever.
Yeah, you really had to look for it back then. Yeah. You had to be on the lookout to find it. Yes.
Yeah. So how has it changed really over the last couple decades? Like what has the scene started with and then how has it evolved?
The years you're talking about then, I think they were still calling, it wasn't even craft beer. They were calling it G-Biru.
G-Biru?
Yeah, the G-Biru. And there were a lot of kind of the bubble time companies that were still kind of going, I think, Chris, you always said that it was like, it's a big company. They have money. You're like, hey, Tanaka-san, you like beer? Let's make a brewery. We got the money and, guy doesn't know anything about beer, but they just called it G-Biru and they started making these just kind of cheapy beers that really weren't that good.
It was like mid-90s that the Japanese government started giving money for local communities to expand their economic base. So there was a lot of resort companies, hotels, other businesses that thought, well, we got this money now. Let's start a brewery. But craft beer became legal. Let's start a brewery. And there's still a lot of that going on now. The company has money, they build a brewery, and the last thing they think about is who's going to make the beer. To them, it's like if you throw money at it and you buy great equipment, of course you're going to make good beer.
Doesn't always work that way. Right now, we have to say, I mean, since 2010, I actually joined Baird at the same time as he did. I kind of had a discussion with Brian one day, and he's over a few beers. And he's like, "Well, I could use you." I said, "Well, let's talk about this when we're sober, okay? Let's do this." Yeah. And sure enough, I joined in later in the end of 2009 is probably when I came in. And I'm still with Baird right now. So I basically run the pubs and one of the senior directors and draft beer operations. But during that time, since 2010, the amount of breweries really has increased and the quality of beer has really increased, which is a good thing.
Overall quality has increased.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's still a lot of suspect breweries out there.
Yeah.
But we've all noticed that, yes, just the quality of beer that's being produced in Japan now is really craft beer. There's really a lot of good breweries. Yeah.
So is that momentum still building, or is it like started to kind of level off a little bit? Like, when the boom happens, there's like an oversaturation at some point and it kind of starts to taper off. Like, do you feel like it's still like kind of building up, or is it kind of reaching its apex and leveling off?
I think it's starting to level off, but there's still a lot of people that, a lot of younger people now that think it's cool to have a brewery. So they're starting breweries. When I started this company, Shiokaze, in 2019, and we opened our first pub in 2020, at that point in Chiba City, there were 2 craft breweries. And now there are 7. And there's like 3 or 4 that are waiting for their license. So by the end of this year, there'll probably be 10. And that doesn't seem like a lot in a city of 1 million people. But craft beer is still it's still like 1% of the market in Japan.
Yeah.
Brian Baird has said this many times. More and more, we're all fighting for a piece of that same 1%, because that hasn't really changed much over the last 5 or 10 years.
I was about to say, it's like hard to pull away. I feel like Sapporo, Asahi, Kirin, Suntory, good luck prying away any piece of that, like you said, that pie. Yeah. From those. I mean, they're distribution chains, and like you can't go anywhere without seeing one of those vintage Asahi posters, or something with a calendar of like Kirin or Asahi or Sapporo, like restaurant wise. Everywhere you go, there's something.
And the big guys, they give swag to pubs that sign an exclusive. So you go into a small izakaya and it's all Asahi. The glasses are Asahi. The faucets for serving the beer are Asahi. All the tubing is provided by Asahi. And if they ever break that contract, suddenly they're left with a skeleton and they have to start over, basically. Yeah, so like you said, the fingers in the pie there, they're deep in the pie.
And that's one thing too, as well as craft breweries, you're trying to go into this market and trying to get into these little pubs like this. And they're like, okay, well, you're not going to provide the servers. You're not going to provide the equipment. What about the hoses? Like, well, Asahi does it for us. Kirin does it for us. It's kind of like, well, we don't quite have the money they do. And, it's kind of tough to break into some of those markets where, they're, like you said, their fingers in the pot. They're taking it right away from you.
Yeah.
So hard to get in.
So it is getting a little better recently, with some more of the independent izakaya, some smaller restaurants. They're moving more and more towards being craft beer friendly, let's say.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're not craft beer focused yet, but they're at least they have their Sapporo, their Kirin, their Asahi, and then they have a craft beer or two.
Yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's getting better. The market's opening up slowly.
Does it take like an organic process? Like you have to start locally, right? You have to get your name out there in front of people in your own community first before it kind of branches out? Or because I know Baird is based out of Shizuoka.
Yes.
So did they only really focus on Shizuoka first? Now they have tap rooms across Tokyo.
The first part was the brewery began in Numazu in 2000. So Numazu City of Shizuoka Prefecture. Mm-hmm. It was not going really well because there were locals that liked beer, like myself, would show up there. So eventually what he had to do there was to send to some pubs in Tokyo. And one of the, there's a couple of main pubs, I think Kopa, which is now no longer exists, but Copa as well as Popeyes. Popeyes in Tokyo, Ryogoku.
It's in Ryogoku, yeah.
And that's probably that was the craft beer spot of the original.
Right.
Place in
Without
Tokyo.
Popeye, craft beer in Tokyo probably would be 10 years behind where it is right now. They were the first multi-tap. They started out with 35 taps, and then they went up to 70. I think they're up to 100
about
now.
100 taps, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So
Baird was able to get in there. Actually, Aoki-san, who's the owner of that place, he liked Baird. And I think we still actually do make their house black IPA.
Oh, nice.
there's always a bunch of Bairds on tap there.
Yeah, they usually have a few of ours on tap, yeah. And that was the way to branch out, to get to Tokyo, to get in that market, and then eventually make tap rooms, make our own pubs in Tokyo and ship our own beers right to our own places. So basically selling to our own to ourselves, getting the beers out into the market, making our own pubs. And that was the best way to get into the market. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So did they focus a lot on the community in Numazu and Shizuoka area at first, or do they really kind of say, hey, we exist here, we're gonna obviously put our product out here, make it available, but our real target is to get our name out there in Tokyo, because that's where things can kind of blow up? Because again, with craft beer, it maybe isn't a big thing with native Japanese people at that time, but foreigners coming in, they're coming from countries where craft beer is a big thing.
Yes.
So maybe there's a bigger foreigner demographic in Tokyo where more eyes on it, more tongues and taste buds on it.
Yeah, more tongues on it for sure.
Yeah, that's pretty much how it happened. It was focused locally to begin with, but it had to branch out because it was not taking off so well to begin with. So branching out to Tokyo, that was just the obvious solution, to start getting out to different places. And Tokyo, there's 14, 15 million people there. Yeah. So you have a lot more tongues tasting the beer. Yeah.
You have a lot of options to pitch your product to, right? You can get
and then also, and doing it that way, we also started not just with the beer part, but what food goes great with beer. Right. So one of our places is a pizza place, New Haven style, pizzas. We've got in Harajuku, we have one that's basically an izakaya style a yakitori restaurant. And then we have another little place in Kichijoji that is Tex-Mex focused. Good tacos, guacamole, And so we kind of, focus the food as well around what goes good with craft beer. And we got a really crazy good barbecue restaurant in Yokohama, in Bashimichi, smoked barbecue. I've been to actually NOLA in New Orleans. NOLA Craft Brewing, they're kind of a barbecue place right now. And actually, the last time I went there was some years ago. I took a picture of their menu board because it was almost exactly our menu board at our place in Bashimichi.
So it's funny you mention that, because a lot of times we have a monthly happy hour and we usually base it at NOLA Brewery. Yeah. That's kind of our station. It's been our place where we've gone for the last year and a half for every third Wednesday in the month. But they've transitioned from barbecue, actually. It's more now, it's like pizza, and they have wings and some sandwiches and stuff, but it's not so much barbecue anymore. I do remember, though, when I got married 10 years ago. Yeah, 10 years ago. I had to look at the calendar.
I know how that goes.
At that point, we had a kind of a pre-wedding, friends coming in. And I met with some of the guys that were coming in that day before the wedding. And we met at NOLA, and it was barbecue. They had a barbecue kitchen, barbecue menu, and everything like that. So I do remember that. And it did go really well with barbecue.
Yeah. So that's fun. And the place we have at Yokohama is Bashimichi. It's kind of a little old style place. It's not too far from Yokohama Stadium, the Bay Stars, the baseball team.
Oh, yeah.
Yokohama. Yeah. It's just down the street.
That's always good to have it near a sports place, right?
We have a lot of our regulars, so we can sell takeouts. They bring some barbecue to the game with them, and then if the team wins, we usually have their after party. They'll be coming by.
There you go.
It's always good. Yeah.
So for both of you at Baird, but also at Shiokaze, what does a typical day look like for someone working at a craft brewery? Depending on what your role is, because if you're the manager, you're not doing the same thing as a brewer, but maybe you are. I don't know. But what does it look like?
For a brewer, well, I'm the owner of the company, but I'm also the chief brew officer. And then I have a head brewer, but we brew everything together. So before the brew day, we mill the malt and we get the water heated up. We get all the equipment rinsed and ready to go. And then on brew day, we get here at 6:30 a.m., not p.m. So 6:30, and we're working until we clean up everything, and that's usually like 5 or 6. So it's pretty much a 12-hour day.
That was my joke. He said after your cleaning up thing years ago when we were working together, it's more like a brewer's job was brewing beer was maybe 20% of the job, and the other 80% was cleaning.
Yeah.
Okay. so a lot of cleaning involved with brewing. Yes.
And yeah, on a non-brew day, we have to taste the beers, but most of what we do is cleaning kegs, cleaning floors, cleaning pipes, cleaning whatever we need to clean. Yeah, it's a factory job.
Yeah,
totally.
Once the beer is brewed, it's conditioned, it's sitting in tanks, and then there's packaging days.
Yeah.
So some days you're just sitting on a bottling line or a kegging line, or
employee-wise, both breweries. Obviously, Baird's been around a lot longer, so they probably have more employees currently.
Yeah, a few more.
But for Shiokaze, do you have a lot of like staff that work for you, or is it more of a smaller shop?
Well, we have 2 pubs, one near Soga. It's also Chiba City. And then we have a tasting room attached to the brewery. And we have a little office. So total full-time, including me, we have 5 people.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then part-time, we have 4 or 5 that help out in the pubs.
Oh, okay.
But the brewery work is mostly just me and my head brewer.
Wow.
Occasionally someone will come in and help on brew day.
Oh, geez.
Yeah. But it's not overwhelming.
If you enjoy it,
it's something
though.
I like.
Right. If you enjoy it, it's not necessarily work some days. Yeah, you're putting in 60-hour weeks, but it's pleasurable to some extent. Obviously, there's some pain points, right? But
Sure. You know, but overall, at the end of every week, I can look back and with satisfaction that hey, we did this. We made beer.
Yeah. So what about Baird? Obviously, it's grown.
Oh yeah, it was actually the smallest licensed microbrewery in Japan. It started on a homebrew system at 30 liters. Okay, 30 liters of beer on a homebrew system. Literally, we still have that system in the new brewery, but no, just on display. We're not using it; it's on display. But from there, we jumped up to the 250 liter system.
250, yeah.
And from the 250 liter system, that was when on the first floor of the building, where our original pub is at still, which will be 25 years this year. And then went to 1,000 liters when we moved across the street, a little ways down the road, and put also the 250 liter system in as well. So we had 2 breweries. We had a 1,000 liter system as well as a 250 liter system. And then we're going to 11 years. Actually, June this year will be 11 years that we made the big step into the Izu Peninsula. Now we're in Shizenji. I don't know if you know Shizenji City. It's in the middle of Izu Peninsula. We're now up to a 6,000 liter system, which we also installed the 1,000 liter system and the 250 liter system. So we basically have 3 brew systems in our new factory. Well, it's 11 years. It'll be 11 years this year. This June, it'll be 11 years. And we've got how many brewers now? 6, I think.
Okay.
And we have a tasting room with 20 taps up on the 3rd floor with a big veranda, beautiful view of the mountain area of the whole Izu Peninsula. It's just a beautiful place to be in the countryside of Japan. Yeah.
Wow.
It's sometimes it's the brewery dream and nightmare combined. Okay.
I think pretty much anyone that's involved in craft beer in Japan, and probably in the States too, will tell you the same thing. It's a beautiful nightmare.
It's the dream and the nightmare combined.
So the tap rooms that you guys have in Tokyo, I think you said there's one in Takanonobaba.
Yes.
Where were the other ones?
I
can't remember. I know we were emailing last year about maybe going to one, but I remember Takanonobaba because I used to frequently go there when I was studying abroad. That was near my dorm.
Nakameguro. Yeah, Nakameguro.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the pizza place. I was there just the other night. Really good pizza. And then Harajuku.
Oh, right.
Okay. Right off of Takashidori is the big tourist. And that's what we get a lot of foreigners in that place, right? So And that's
Okay.
the one that is a yakitori, kind of izakaya Japanese style.
Yeah.
And then I said Kichijoji out on the other side of Tokyo,
Right. Okay.
which is Tex-Mex. Takano no Baba, we have Kushiage. It's kind of izakaya style as well. And a Kushiage, the not yakitori,
Fried food.
deep fried, the fried foods,
deep fried things.
deep fried things, basically. Yeah.
That goes great with beer, though.
Oh yeah, that it
Hit.
does. That it does.
Kind of pre-lubricate for your hangover.
Yeah. And then, like I said, and the one in Yokohama, the Bashimichi, the smoke barbecue, we actually imported a smoker from Mesquite, Texas. Okay, so it's a JR smoker. It's actually the same brand of a smoker. If you ever go through Houston International Airport, in their international section, there is a barbecue restaurant there, and the smokers that they use, that's the same smoker we have in Japan. So
you just took that one from the restaurant and put it on the plane with you when you came back home.
I just threw it on a plane. Yeah, just threw my backpack. Yeah.
They just wait, where did the smoker go?
Just one check bag, please.
Rather large. We had So anyway, we try to go authentic with everything we're doing. The same thing with Baird beer as well. I mean, I think it's Shiokaze as well. I mean, we try to use everything minimally processed ingredients. Baird, we only use whole flower hops. That's a big thing with our beer. Only whole flower hops, which very few breweries are doing that now. Everyone's using pellets and extracts and oils. And
you know why no one uses whole hops? Because they're a pain in the frickin' ass. I mean, talk about adding an hour or two to your cleaning routine on brew day. Whoa.
They can be, but we've stuck to that tradition at Baird, and it can be a royal pain in the butt. But I think in the flavor, you can taste it. It makes a difference. That's what makes Baird beer unique. I really do believe.
That's great. So for aspiring brewmasters out there that are looking to break into the Japanese market, I've known a couple people that one went to Japan as a teacher, but then went with their spouse, and then they were looking at possibly doing something with a brewery, but then just ran into roadblocks. So what are some of the roadblocks that just a brewmaster in general might run into when trying to break into the market in Japan? But then what are additional challenges that maybe a foreigner that is looking to start their own brewery may run into versus someone that is native Japanese?
Yeah, for Japanese starting a small brewery, the regulations in order to get your brewing license are quite ominous, quite strict. It's hurdles that are really hard to overcome by yourself. So most of the small breweries have someone, backing them to do the paperwork, to take care of the licensing things. Because right now, if I didn't have my guy to work with the tax office to keep our license in good stead, I'd go crazy. Because when you're brewing, like Chris M said, 80% is cleaning. If you're also doing the paperwork, then 50% of your time is going to be on the paperwork. 40 would be cleaning and 10 brewing. And that's not what I got into this for.
And
right.
You mentioned it, the strict laws, and then not just the law, but a thing for the foreigners, I think, is also, even in America, you would be going through all the processes of licensing and everything that you need to do, but it would be in your native language, in English, and even the legalese in English can be hard enough. Go through the legalese in Japanese and seeing kanji that you have never seen before and have no idea what it means. And you're like, okay, what's this? So you have to have a very fluent or Japanese native person working with you to get these things done.
Yeah. So if you're a foreigner, an American who wants to start a brewery in Japan, have a good partner. So either if you are strong on the business side, then your partner needs to be strong on the brewing side, and vice versa. Mm-hmm. So I'm strong on the brewing side. I hate business. I don't know why there are days I go to bed thinking, why the heck did I start my own company? This is just crazy. I should have just stayed at Baird. Just made beer. But I don't have a partner as such. It's my show. So I just have good people working for me that can
Yeah.
take care of that stuff for me.
That's good. That's good.
When the tax office comes in, they come in once or twice a year to go through our books and our records and check if all the kegs are accounted for and things like that. And I can chat with them, but the minute they bring up any kind of problem, it just, the language suddenly it goes up to 10 notches, where I'm on notch number 2 and they're talking to me at 10. So if I don't have someone with me, it's hopeless. So and my Japanese isn't that bad. But
exactly. But when it's your business on the line, you kind of want to make sure.
exactly.
Yeah.
So having someone around you that can help you out with this is.
Yeah. And I was going to say, like, I have a few friends that have started businesses in Japan as foreigners, but they've done it also with essentially their spouse being the business owner, and they're like the partner in that relation, in that business.
Right.
Yes.
So it's kind of like, if you're married to someone that's Japanese, then you at least have, a Japanese name on the application. You're not initially hitting those roadblocks. That's maybe someone that's just on their own maybe they're fluent in Japanese, like super fluent, like can speak the legalese and do all that stuff, but their name is in katakana.
Yes.
And all of a sudden, that they don't have a citizenship, they don't have a Japanese passport or whatever it may be.
Yeah,
like
having a Japanese
or something like
name
that.
on it does
Right.
make a difference. Yes, that will help you out. Yes.
Yeah.
And when we were applying for our brewing license, it's my name as the representative of the company, basically the owner. And then I had 5 of my friends' names on the company registration. 3 of them or 4 of them are foreigners, and only one, my friend's wife, is Japanese, but she goes by her Canadian husband's last name. So it looked like everyone was a foreigner. Yeah, the tax office raised some eyebrows there.
Yeah.
But that's part of the reason why our license took over a year to be approved. And part of it is just that I'm an idiot. So
I feel like laws in Japan, especially with alcohol, is very regulated. And I mean, they have we can get into the whole beer versus haposhu like conversation and, how they get around being taxed a certain amount because they serve the lesser amount of, or the hop level is like way lower in haposhu versus beer, nama beer.
Yes.
I feel like just there's so much
they're
built in, probably by companies that are lobbying to try to defend their own market position, right?
Exactly.
They're trying to like prevent people from getting in there. How has that impacted you guys? Is that a similar thing? Like, do you have those types of barriers that you run into when I don't know if it's necessarily is it something when you have to worry about maintaining a certain level of like when you're producing your product, right? Like, do you have to market it a certain way, or do you have to make sure that, hey, we're not going below a certain amount here or there to avoid tax penalties or we're violating this stupid regulatory like thing out there that is in place by Kirin or Sapporo because they lobbied for it?
I think at Baird, we really don't consider it so much, but we do have to apply, go by the rules, because certain things, like we make a lot of beers with fruits and citrus fruits, and just different things that we put into beers make it a haposhu. Or
Right.
it makes it, you put in like you said, the level of hops, all of a sudden it's taxed at a different rate because it's an actual beer now. So haposhu is always taxed less. And
well, there's 2 categories of haposhu too, which also
to make it more.
To get a haposhu license, you have to brew 6,000 liters a year.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, beer is 60,000.
Okay.
So we got a haposhu license because our brewery is fairly small, and the tax office was giving us all kinds of trouble trying to get a beer license. So we just did haposhu. And the only thing we have to do is add some clarifier to the boil while we're brewing the beer. And it can be 1 gram. 1 gram of clarifier goes in at the end of the boil, and now it's haposhu.
Oh.
Yeah, but it's taxed the same rate as beer. So but then there's also the category of low malt haposhu. So if the malt content is under 50%, and then the rest is sugars or other starches or whatever, then it's taxed at a lower rate.
And that's what I'm thinking of. Those like Kirin green cans
Right,
in the
right.
convenience store that are like 90 yen.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, you get a case for 1,000 yen or something.
Yeah.
Like that. Yeah.
The college kid drink, right?
Like
Oh, yeah.
alcoholic's dream right there.
And it's something I actually haven't had a happoshu, one of those green cans, in many years. I just I stay
Me
away
neither.
from
Me neither.
it.
But next time you're in Japan and find craft beer in cans, look at the label, because probably half of them are labeled happoshu.
Yep.
Interesting.
They're craft beer.
Even though they're craft beer, other than that little bit of carrageenan clarifier got thrown in the boil.
Wow. Okay. I did not know that. So it doesn't say Nama beer on the can. It says Happoshu.
Yep.
Yes, it will say happoshu.
Wow. And is there a visual indicator for people that are like looking at it and saying, is this the green Kirin Happoshu, or is this like just a really good craft beer Happoshu?
No,
There's no way to tell the difference. It just
no
says
way to
Happoshu.
tell the difference.
No way to tell the difference.
Yeah.
Nope, because it'll
Probably a little bit more creativity on the label, right?
Yeah. And
But we also found out recently, when we had our audit by the tax office, that the big 4 breweries have a trade association, and they are starting to aggressively go after small craft breweries that have a happoshu license only, because they said that if you label your beer, for example, IPA, it has to be under the beer license. If you only have happoshu, it can't be an IPA. So
oh no,
we don't can our beers yet. So for us, we're still in the safe zone. But if we start canning, and actually this association has no legal authority, but they can put a lot of pressure on us.
They have power.
Yeah, through the tax office, they can put pressure on us. So
okay, that tracks though. That sounds very much like things I've heard.
Japanese bureaucracy at work, let's say that.
Yeah.
But I was kind of joking with the tax guys when they mentioned that, and I said, and I had this really kind of concerned look on my face, because I was thinking, well, we make an IPA, how do we label it then? We can't use the term IPA. And they thought I was pissed off at them. So they said, oh, Chris, this isn't our rule. We're just warning you that this may happen. And I said, oh, no, I'm not angry. I'm just thinking, how do we put it on our label? Do we say IPA-esque or IPA-like?
IPA-ish, IPA-ISH.
Yeah, IPA-like
ISH-PA.
Alcoholic beverage. I mean, what the hell do we put? And we all had a good laugh. And then they said, yeah, we don't have an answer for that. It's like... But it's not all doom and gloom, okay? It's
you can put IPA poi.
Yeah.
IPA poi.
IPA foo.
IPA teki na mono desu.
Yeah. But the regulations, they're a pain in the butt. But as long as you pay attention to them, it's not ominous.
Yeah.
But what is great about craft beer in Japan is we can self-distribute. Easy, to anyone. We can use parcel services like UPS. It's Kuroneko and
Yamato,
Sagawa.
All the local carriers.
So we call them when we get an order for a keg. We call them. They come and pick it up. They keep it cool,
and they send it cool.
And then the next morning or the next day, it arrives in the Kanto area, usually one day, and it arrives cold. So the pub that gets it can put it on tap that day if they want. So distribution, self-distribution is really a dream here. Yeah, it's so easy.
That's interesting. So you can develop those smaller contacts with different pubs or tap houses or stores, and you can set up your own distribution chain all you want, and you can kind of control that.
Exactly.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
As opposed to, not having to fall in line with like a supply chain type situation that is regulated or.
It can be costly, though.
Yeah,
It does
I can
cost a bit
imagine
sending
that.
everything refrigerated, so it adds to your costs. But the convenience is there, so that you have to pay for that. So
And
That's
the
good.
profit is much better than if you send a bunch of beer to a big distributor, and then they pay probably half of what you can sell it directly to a pub for or a
Right.
store. So, the profit margin is higher, but there are a couple large distributors in Japan, and they can get your beer into, chain restaurants or hotels, luxury hotels that you would probably spend a year or two cultivating a channel and get an order for one keg, and that would be it.
Yeah.
So there are distributors you can work with too, but the self distribution for especially a small company like Shiokaze, that's a godsend.
and with Baird
That's
right
good.
now, we're kind of using a combination of all of it right now.
Yeah.
So we actually have our own refrigerated truck as well. We do for local distributions. We can use our own truck for certain things. We use some of the larger distribution centers, like Chris here was saying, so we can get into places that we weren't able to get into unless we use them out of the larger system. So it works both ways. And then, like I said, the self-distribution is the best. If we can do it in our own truck, that makes it even better. But
For
can't
sure.
always do that. Yeah, can't always do that.
So you had mentioned earlier you have certain things you can insert into your beer to make it a happoshu or something like that, right?
Right.
But like, what types of unique ingredients are you seeing that like maybe other Shiokaze or Baird, like what are they using that may set them apart from other beer companies in general?
I think I mentioned with Baird, one thing is we use whole flower hops. That's
The whole
one
flower,
thing.
right?
Yeah, that's
Right.
one big thing. And the other thing is that I think we're pretty much known for, we use the indigenous fruits of Japan. We make yuzu beers, we make dai, natsumikan, a lot of citrus beers. We make fruited beers, cinnamon beers, ninki, I don't know, ninki, the Japanese cinnamon roots with
Mhm.
Japanese figs. We make kind of celebration beers with that. That's kind of where we go unique, I think. And we actually make a
Okay.
habanero. I grow a lot of chilies. I'm kind of known for that. My habaneros, my
I like the
jalapenos.
spicy beer.
Oh yeah,
It's nice.
we make a habanero stout, which is pretty good. I slip jalokias in every now and then just to make it up it just a bit. But yeah, it's a habanero stout we make, and that's kind of the more unique things we do. Yeah, at Baird.
Shiokaze is very similar. We support local shops. So right down the road, there's a tea shop. So we're going to be making a green tea IPA pretty soon, and
Oh,
we'll get
cool.
tea from them. There's a coffee roaster literally 100 meters away from the brewery. So we're going to go and have them roast some beans for us special to use in a coffee porter, probably, not a stout. And
Excellent.
and I mentioned before, we're really close to the Chiba city office here. So we get a lot of people coming from the city office, and they're starting to recommend, oh, there's this farmer that his apples got bruised this year, so he can't sell them. Do you want them? It's like, hell yeah, bring them over.
Yeah.
No one's going to see that in a beer. They don't get to
Right.
see that big, beautiful apple. Same with us at
Right.
Baird. We do that too. Yeah, we'll get things like that and put it in. Yeah.
It's really cool to get that locally sourced product and support your community. And then in the end, I feel like there's that connection you build with the community itself, right?
Well, exactly.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. Yep. Mhm.
So we have a kiwi beer, and when you think of kiwi, you think, well, it's got to come from some tropical place. No, these are grown in Chiba. So my brewer's family called him and said, well, we got all these kiwi. No one wants them. They're not sweet. Can you use them? It's like, oh, heck yeah. So we had like 50 kilos of these little tiny kiwis that we had to peel and cut up and put in the beer. Turned out great.
Yeah.
And there's a story behind it. So yeah, anything that we can get that has a story,
Yeah.
then
Well, that's
we're all over it.
not to say and at Baird right now, since we moved to our new facility, well now 11 years, but we have our own fruit trees. We have a hop yard. I grow hops out there. So, but the hops are only enough. We make a good season. We can get a 2,000 liter batch out of it, but it's a good entrance to the brewery, and everything we do out there is all organic. So everything, we don't use any pesticides on any of the things we're making. So we're trying to keep it, minimally processed on everything we do.
Yeah,
And
it
one of the
seems like
beers
there's
I
a
wanted to
good
mention too that we have
balance.
actually, so there's a pale ale is of course, that's the standard, but we
Yeah.
make we call the JPA, Japan Pale Ale, and it's wabi sabi, which
Yeah.
we actually use wasabi and green tea in a pale
Okay.
ale, which is a very unique combination,
Yeah.
and we call it JPA, Japan Pale Ale. So it's not an IPA, it's a JPA. Interesting beer.
I have no idea how that would taste. And I'm trying to think in my mind. I can't imagine.
The wasabi is very, very subtle. So
Okay.
if someone didn't tell you this has wasabi in it, then
You probably wouldn't.
you would pick up the green tea very easily, but there'd be something there, just something in the background that you couldn't quite put your tongue on.
Yeah, you're getting your little tingly something going on there. After drinking a pint of it, then you start to go, I think I'm getting that. Okay.
Yeah.
And then speaking of that, that's also locally sourced ingredients too, because Shizuoka is known for its green tea as well as its wasabi. So it's a very locally sourced ingredient. So
That's awesome. Yeah, so that's really cool that you do that local sourcing to like do some like kind of innovation with like, traditional brewing techniques, but then like incorporate. And I mean, I feel like all craft breweries do that to some extent, but it's really really great for smaller ones that are tapping into their community and like bringing a part of that community into their own drinks that eventually the community is going to drink. So it's kind of like a circular, cyclical thing, right? Circle of life.
and it's
Circle
nice.
of life,
Yeah,
exactly.
Lion King.
And it's fun that people start to find out that you will use ingredients, because we'll have people suddenly show up. Like you said, your brewers shows up with kiwi. We had people who showed up with lemongrass and can you use lemongrass? Well, we'll figure it out. We'll do something. And sure enough, people just bring these ingredients and we figure something out.
There you go.
What I had last year, 2 years ago, I had a bumper crop of basil out at the brewery, and I just made so much Genovese sauce. I was getting tired of it, so I started drying it, and I asked Brian, the brewmaster Brian, so what about basil? Dried basil, man? He said, yeah, we're going to make a basil pale ale. So that's what we did. We made a basil pale ale. It was really, really good.
There you go.
Yeah. So creativity using whatever we can find.
There you go.
There you go. There you go. So looking ahead though, like aside from this, like this creativity that comes with just like tapping into your own community, but like what else in the craft brew scene in Japan excites you most about the future? Like, is there something like, do you see just, maybe the fact that this kind of thing is taking off, maybe you haven't necessarily taken an edge off of the 99% that, the big 3 or 4 have on the market. But do you see that kind of like starting to whittle away a little bit? And are there any possible trends that brewers may want to keep an eye on, or even just beer enjoyers?
Yeah, I think there's what excites me. You started out by saying what excites me is when I run into a new brewery and I try their beer and it's excellent. That's what we need. Without that, if new breweries are popping up and it's the same old crap and or worse than the same old crap, then it doesn't do any of us any good.
Yeah, and it's just very unimpressive. Your first sip, unimpressed, and go, okay, that's not exciting. But when you do have a place that, like I said, in the last 15 years, craft beer has really improved over here. And you go to a new place, you taste this beer and go, hey, this has got potential.
That's great. Yeah.
And I think more and more, we just talked about using local ingredients, but there's a limit. Like Chiba is known for sardines. Now, am I going to make a sardine IPA? Hell no.
I mean, you could, but
yeah, I know. But see, I would much rather make an excellent pale ale or blonde ale or porter and then serve sardine dishes with that excellent beer. That to me, and you're seeing more and more of that recently, where pubs and small restaurants are fashioning their menu to complement the beer.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, okay, what we want to have an IPA. What can we serve that an IPA will just really set off? And those kind of places also excite me.
And some places doing kind of food collaborations, actually having craft breweries come to a nice restaurant. And they say, hey, we always like this beer. We want to pair it with this. Can you come by and serve? And yeah, sure, we'll come by. We'd love to pair beer. And me, I'm kind of a food guy. You know, I'm kind of known for my gumbo over here. Hey, I do serve that a bit. Yeah. And what goes well with a gumbo? I usually, a good IPA, a brown ale. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, that excites me because I work a lot in the kitchens and I run the pubs a bit. So I'm not actually a brewer. The other Chris here, I'm not actually a brewer. I have brewed beer. I've worked with him for years, and I work at a brewery. But I do most of my time spent in the pubs, and I run around through a lot of the kitchens. And I know I like pairing beer with food. I think beer and food are different foods that beer goes the best. It's better than wine to me.
Yeah. Well, it's a certain skill that I feel like people just kind of like glance over, almost like being able to notice, hey, this beer, or even, I mean, you could do it with wine or beer or anything really, but like, I could drink beer with whatever. I'm like, I'll be drinking something spicy and I'm drinking like something that definitely doesn't complement it. Right.
Right.
You know, I'm drinking like a spicy beer with a spicy like gumbo, and it's like, yeah, that's not a great pair. You know, I can't do that, but I feel like there's an art to it, and that's something that, you know, if you really got that taste and you could feel, you know, this really would go well with sardines. Like this is like a perfect sardine beer.
Yeah, exactly.
I actually, because I work, I'm not a chef or anything like that, but I run around a lot of kitchens. But I work with a lot of people who are very good chefs and very good in the kitchens, and I love kind of eating and drinking with them and kind of going, hey, what do you think about? Yeah, this goes well, that goes well, or this one is like, no. I know one I've found for sure. I don't like a blue cheese with a double IPA. I don't know why, but they don't go well with me.
No,
just little things like that, you know, going, hey,
yeah.
This right here actually goes really well with this beer, and it could be anything. You never know. Mm-hmm.
That's great.
Yeah, so I think the next 5 years until 2030, they're going to be critical for Japanese craft beer, whether we boom or we totally plateau or even plunge.
Yeah.
Or get bought out by the big four.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Right.
Yeah. I know Kirin is not sniffing around Shiokaze. I am very sure. But if they are, hey, if the money talks, I'm listening. No, so I think, you know, the food pairings, I think the using local ingredients with some moderation, some governor on your engine, so to speak, I think that's going to be important. I think chasing the trends, you know, like the hazy trend now is just outrageous. I went to a pub the other day and they had 10 beers on tap, and I think 7 of them were hazy something or other. Pale ales or brown ales or IPAs or whatever.
Yesterday.
Yesterday too. And so I think there are breweries that do, for example, the hazy IPAs very well, very, very well. But every brewery thinks, oh, I got to do a hazy IPA. Look, they're making hazy IPAs. They're really popular. I got to make, and it's like trend chasing. Okay, what do you actually want to make? What are you good at? What do you want your brewery to be known for? Mm-hmm. Don't just follow trends. You can dabble in them because, maybe it ends up that becomes your best seller. You know, the pastry stout or the hazy IPA or something. Right. But don't just blindly follow the trends, follow the fashion. And that's what a lot of breweries have been doing. Yeah. And I'm noticing recently that some of the breweries, like I mentioned, I find a brewery that I really like and that excites me. A lot of those breweries are doing what they want. They have a philosophy, and that's what they do. They do it extremely well.
Not just chasing trends.
Yeah, and that's
what they do best.
That's going to be important, more and more important in the next 5 years, I think.
I feel like, at least in the US, and I can't speak for Japan because obviously totally different markets, but I feel like the craft brewing scene really, 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 it was growing, 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 but then the pandemic hit, and then either a lot of craft brewers decided to stay steady with what they were doing, or they decided to go crazy and innovative and do all these like wild ass, like limited brew things. And a few of the local brew, like Urban South here in New Orleans, did a lot of different, like, hey, it's only available on this day. If you want some, like, pre-order it, come pick it up, like small batch, type. They were doing like, I think every week was releasing a cereal like Trix or Fruity Pebbles or Cocoa Puffs.
Right.
And it was that kind of like flavored type, a Cocoa Puffs porter, a Trix like hazy IPA, or, like different things like that. But like, I feel like the innovation is really the thing that's going to move everyone forward. Cause I feel like from that moment, Urban South just took off. Like well, it's like Abita was like the big like local brewery, and then NOLA kind of like created its own little market. But then Urban South really came out of nowhere. I don't want to say came out of nowhere, but it really took off during the pandemic, and I think it really grabbed a market share because it was so innovative, and it kind of, that became its identity, is that it was very creative in its stuff. And a lot of places try to play catch up and have, but it's now not one brewery's game anymore here in New Orleans proper. Like, because Abita is not even in New Orleans. Like, they just opened a tap house in New Orleans, not too far from NOLA Brewing, and I've heard good things. But in New Orleans proper, it was like NOLA Brewery was the place. But then Urban South kind of, because of that.
Urban, aren't they? They're branching out. I mean, I'm from Gretna. Old Gretna is kind of my old stomping ground, right there where the ferry is, by the courthouse. And I think they're making an expansion.
Are they?
On the West Bank? I mean, they were trying it the last time I was home last year. I know they were talking
They
about.
may have. I haven't really followed, but I just know their current spot is really nice. Like, their setup is really nice on Tchoupitoulas, and
that's the beer avenue, huh? Tchoupitoulas.
Oh, it really, and that's what the Abita is. It's like Urban South, Abita, and then NOLA are like kind of.
It's just a few right in
and
a
then
row,
Port
right?
Orleans is a little bit further down, but I mean that one's pretty good too. That's like one of the smaller ones, but they all got their own little niches. But Urban South really dug its own niche over the course of that time. So, innovation, I think that's kind of like the thing. Like you have to innovate, but create your own identity.
Right. See, that's just it. It's just from what you described, their identity is using cereal in beer, but they created that identity for themselves. And now, if NOLA tries to copy them, why?
It's just not the same.
Why? Put crawfish in your beer instead. No way, that's like sardines.
They did though. NOLA did one that was amazing. There was a I don't know if it's crab boil or something, but there was some kind of like boil seasoning in a beer, like a lager. And I swear it was my favorite beer last year. Like, every time I go there for a happy hour, I buy a growler to bring home. I'm like, it has a little spicy afterkick, like cayenne pepper, like afterkick.
Yeah.
And I'm like, man, this is so good.
I may have to bring back some Zatarans when I come back.
Try it,
Maybe I'll talk to Chris and we'll see if we can make
just drop a little cayenne pepper into your batch and see what happens.
That might happen. Thank you for that idea.
You're welcome.
I'd still rather just boil the crabs in a nice beer base and then eat them right beside a nice Pilsner IPA.
Well, that can also be one of these trendy things as well. Like I said before, you can go overboard with some of these things. Like I said, I like my chili peppers. I like my hot beer. I like habaneros, but I've had habaneros IPA over here that I was like, no, I like eating my habaneros separate than drinking habaneros.
Yeah.
So they get a little overboard. So you do have to have a balance in your beer, and that's Baird's kind of philosophy too. It's the balance. It's a balance. Yeah. Everything's balanced.
Well, before we wrap up, I did remember one other NOLA brewing story. It kind of ties to Japan, because they used to have like Hopzilla and they had Mecha Hopzilla. That was like two of their beers, and they had a tap, and it was like kind of like Mecha Godzilla on the tap. They got they got slapped with the cease and desist by Toho or whatever.
I know I had Hopzilla.
And they had to take the name off of all the beers and everything. So yeah,
Wow.
that was about 10 years ago. But still, I remember that because they used to have like really iconic like taps when you go to bars.
I remember that.
And they couldn't do that anymore.
Okay, because I don't remember having Megazilla. I remember having Hopzilla for sure, and I remember the can. They had them in cans in your local Rouses, which is my favorite supermarket. So, yeah.
All right, so this is such a great conversation. I can go on for hours, but I think I hear the kids going a little crazy downstairs, so I probably have to step away. But before we wrap up, I wanted to give you both an opportunity to let folks know where they can learn more about both of your breweries, Baird and Shiokaze. Like, do you want to let people know, whether it's on social media or a website, where they can find more information about those breweries?
Very simply with Baird, just go bairdbeer.com. We're on Instagram, we're on Facebook. And in Japan, what is Instagram? It's pretty big. So, but bairdbeer.com, and you can check us out. I mean, we've actually, at our brewery, we have a campground as well. We have a whole lot of things going on out there. So bairdbeer.com, that'd be the best way to find us.
And for Shiokaze, we don't have a website yet because, like I mentioned several times earlier, I'm an idiot. So one of my guys is working on the website now, but we are very active on Facebook and Instagram. So if you search for Shiokaze BrewLab or Shiokaze Brew Stand, you'll find our pages. And there's one for each pub that we have, and then one for the brewery as well. So you can find information.
And the same with Baird, bairdbeer.com. You'll find all of our shops are listed. You'll have our tap rooms, our seasonal beers, our regular beers. Everything is all lined up right there on the website.
Awesome. Yep.
And
we'll make sure to link out to, whatever I can find. And if I don't find everything, I'll reach out to you guys. But we'll link out to everything in the show notes too, so that way people, if they want to go and check, it'll be listed out there. So that way they can look out more. And I'll be back in Tokyo sometime this summer, either in June or July. So I will I'll reach out to you guys and see
please do.
Whether it's at a Baird tap room or a Shiokaze BrewLab. We'll figure something out.
If it's Shiokaze, the first pint's on me.
All right. Well, maybe that might sway my decision on where we go.
Okay, let's see. Maybe I can match that.
It's not a competition.
This is how I win. I'm just playing you against each other.
As long as I win, it's not a competition.
As long as you get a beer, come on.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, go to both. You get 2 beers. Hey,
yeah, exactly.
There you go. All right. Well, guys, thank you, Chris's.
Yeah,
thank you both so much. I appreciate you guys coming on, taking some time out of your morning to share some knowledge with us about the craft brew scene there in Japan.
Yeah.
And look forward to hopefully see you soon in the future and raising a pint with y'all.
Sounds like a good plan.
Yeah. Thanks a lot. This was fun.
Thank you.
Thank you.
My little touch back to New Orleans today. All right.
There you go. There you go. Who dat?
Here's to the best bank. Hey.
And that's the last call for today's episode. A huge thank you to our guests Chris Madere and Chris Poel for sharing their time, their stories, and their behind-the-scenes wisdom. Hearing firsthand what it's like to brew in Japan, from navigating the strict laws to experimenting with ingredients from your community, really gives a whole new appreciation for every pint that ends up in your glass. Japan's craft beer movement is still evolving, still surprising, and still very much driven by passionate folks like the two Chris's who pour their energy and probably a good bit of sweat into building something special. Baird Brewing itself has continued to evolve since we spoke with the Chris's back in April, as it recently closed its original Fish Market taproom and the original brewery, which was located at the taproom. It's truly the end of an era for the mecca of craft beer in Japan. But don't fret, Baird will be opening a new location not too far from Numazu Station this upcoming January. Meanwhile, up in Chiba, Shiokaze has been continuing to innovate and push out some really exciting stuff. So next time you're in Japan, keep your eyes peeled for one of their tap rooms or bottled drinks or drinks on tap and give them a shot. Whether you're a seasoned craft beer nerd or someone who just enjoys a good kanpai moment, it's always fun exploring something new, and there's a lot to be excited for in the years to come when it comes to craft beer. Check out our show notes for all the links to the brewery's social media, websites, and all that fun stuff. It'll all be linked out there. And as always, thank you to you, our listeners, for tuning into the Krewe of Japan podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to follow and subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts. And if you have a few extra seconds to spare, leave us a rating and a review, or even share this episode with your drinking buddy or beer snob you know. Every single one of those 5-star ratings and reviews helps others discover Krewe of Japan and join our global crew. Any and all support is greatly appreciated. Do you have a favorite craft beer in Japan? Share with us on social media. Blue Sky, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitter, X. That's KREWEOFJAPAN, Krewe of Japan. Just search for us on any one of those social media platforms to stay in the loop with future episodes, upcoming Japan Society events, and other Japan-related content. That's KREWEOFJAPAN. Or maybe you want to reach out directly and send us an email. You can do that too. kreweofjapanpodcast@gmail.com. Fun fact, that's actually how Chris Madere reached out to us. So we'd really love to hear from you too. But that's it for today. Until next time, kanpai. Looking to start your own podcast and don't know what platform to use? Tell me about it. When we started the Krewe of Japan podcast, we tried a bunch of the big name recording platforms, but always came back to the one we're still currently using to this day, Zencastr. Zencastr is now the all-in-one solution making podcasting easy. In addition to its high audio and video quality for podcast production, Zencastr provides a full suite of production tools to record, produce, and publish studio quality content from the comfort of your home. Just log in through your browser and start recording. It's that simple. For us, we simply send out links to our guests and they join the lobby. But before you know it, it's all done and you have your studio quality audio and up to 4K video right there ready for you right when you finish. The best part is having their multi-layered backups to ensure that your recordings are in the highest quality, regardless of anyone's internet connection stability. With Zencastr's all-in-one podcasting platform, you can create your podcasts in one place and distribute to all the major destinations. It's really that easy. Go to zencastr.com/pricing and use our code Krewe of Japan, KREWEOFJAPAN, and you'll get 30% off your first month of any Zencastr paid plan. We want you to have the same easy experiences we do for all of our podcasting and content needs. It's your time to share your story.